Oh no. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the FatmanStephens podcast. Not cutting it out, not starting over again. It was a bad intro, but we're going to keep it in. I am Marcus Fatman Stevens. Not too much to talk about today. I just want to get an episode out. Actually, there's a really big thing to talk about because Wrestle freaking Mania is coming to Philadelphia April 6th, April 7th, 2024. Are you kidding me? We're getting 40? WrestleMania 40 is coming to Philadelphia, y'all. I'm sorry that it's loud. Headphone warning. I'll put it at on the description. But holy crap. Uh, I can't believe it. This is all I wanted in life. I don't need a lot of things. I don't need a legacy with children. I don't need to have a mark on this world. I just want to go to WrestleMania in Philadelphia, and hopefully, I'll get my dream. Obviously, it's going to be expensive, and it's going to be so many freaking people in the city of Philadelphia during that time. But I gotta find a way. I have to find a way because WrestleMania, Philadelphia. One thing that makes me very excited is because the fact that by 18 months from now, well, the show is 20 months away. Triple H as head of creative should be like in his. He has a good flow. Like SummerSlam, we'll talk about SummerSlam and Raw in a minute as well. I want to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because that's another hit from Monolith Soft for Nintendo. But it's already flowing. Once in 20 months in, he'll everything will be fine. Like everything will be flowing. All his plans that he comes to fruition will be coming along. Hell, there may be working with another company by then. So I'm very excited for WrestleMania Philadelphia to be, obviously WrestleMania. Oh, sorry, obviously WrestleMania in 2023 in Los Angeles will be his first WrestleMania as head of creative. Hopefully, he's still doing it in 2024 in the Philadelphia show, but because already Triple H is knocking it out of the park. But yeah, I'm not just excited for WrestleMania. I'm excited for the Raw after WrestleMania. Like, I'm not gonna go to the Hall of Fame. I'm not gonna spend money on that. But I'm excited for the Raw after WrestleMania. I'm excited for other shows that'll be in the area. So I might not go to the Hall of Fame, but I might want to check out if Impact's in town or if AEW comes around. Um, all this independent wrestlers, everybody's going to be coming to Philadelphia, so I want to see the best of the best, and this is going to be an exciting week. I cannot wait. I'm so excited for 2024. Literally, it's on my clock down, my countdown. Um, if it wasn't for the Avengers Secret War movie coming out in 2025, I would just say I can just pretty much die after WrestleMania 40. I mean, I'll be dead financially because I'm going broke that day, that week. It's going to be great. Anyway, let's talk wrestling, some more wrestling because we are coming off the heels of a successful SummerSlam. This is the first pay per view where Triple H is head of creative. Um, of course, we know Vince McMahon retired last week. Triple H or Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan became the co-CEOs, and then of course we had Triple H taking over head of creative. So a lot has happened in the last like 10 days. This is his first official kind of show, SummerSlam, and SummerSlam was a really good show. Um, I liked all the matches except for like Theory and I'm not a big fan of Theory and Lashley. Ronda, excuse me, Ronda and Live. That's why I need like notes because I forget stuff so simple so easily, especially because I'm tired. But Liv and Ronda wasn't that good, only because I guess they were Russian time. I heard, and it just wasn't. I got that wasn't like a match on paper. I was excited to see, and I was excited to see how Liv would eventually retain, and for how they would write off Ronda. I think some of the, and of course the main event, last man standing match between Roman and Brock was a great final chapter. It was probably their best match together. There's not really even a close second of matches that I really like between them, but this was definitely their best match they've ever had 1-on-1. And I'm very happy if this is Brock's last match. He went on his own. But I feel like some of the big announcements of the show. Of course, Edge came back. We all knew he was coming back. He was the one from the vignettes they started showing at Money in the Bank 4 weeks ago. That was pretty clear. So I'm glad that he's now back. And um, I don't know what the big matchup will be for Clash of the Castle. Obviously, it probably should be like Edge if they're going to bring back. The rumors were that they're going to bring back Beth, right? So if you do Edge and Beth versus Rhea and Finn in like the UK, that would be really fun. Even Edge versus Finn Balor would be a really good one-on-one match at Clash of Castle. Um, yeah, so that was fun. Logan Paul did a great job. The frog splash on the Miz outside to the table was a SummerSlam moment, like probably one of the biggest moments of the show. Logan Paul actually himself just did a really good job in that match and looked like he belongs in a WWE ring. And I'm excited to see what he does in the future. Obviously, he'll be just used for like big events. I don't think you'll be seeing him wrestle on like weekly Raws here and there unless something changes. And he doesn't really need to. I think he should be an attraction name. And I mean, I'm okay with him being a part timer because he's an influencer and he does all his other things. But if he can go in the ring here and there, that'll be fine. Sam Pat McAfee. McAfee had a fun little match with Corbin, and he got the win there. So keep that kind of stuff going. Eventually, Pat McAfee and Logan Paul are going to run right into each other, and we'll see. We'll see how good of a match that can be when it's two non wrestlers going at it. So that'll be something to look forward to. I think probably the biggest news of the show came at the start of the show, which is the first within the first half hour, and um, we started off hot with Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch. I think that was the right way to go, starting off the show because I always thinking you need to start strong and end strong, and SummerSlam did just that. So Bianca and Becky had another great match, a rematch to the WrestleMania clash, and they're both on the same level of being really good. I really enjoyed the ending of this match though when Bianca did the Spanish Fly at the top rope, then hit the KOD. I think that ending was a little bit more. Both endings are pretty good, but I really enjoyed that ending because I wasn't expecting a Spanish Fly off the top rope. After the match, Becky gets her hand out. Well, first of all, Becky separated her shoulder, which was announced on Raw tonight, so she'll be out for a few months. I kind of think that's a kind of a blessing in disguise. Anyway, so because I feel like she's been carrying the division for the last year, so now she can kind of take a little rest and come back even stronger than ever, especially as a face because she shook hands with Bianca, and this is one of the really newsworthy part of the show. I think we all expected Bianca to win. I always thought in the back of my head Becky could potentially get the upset victory, but this is all about redeeming. This is all Bianca's redeeming herself from last year's SummerSlam. I mean, she already got the WrestleMania win in the championship, but how about beating the same woman who beat her in 26 seconds at the same event? It just kind of writes itself. So as Bianca celebrating, here you hear the crowd go wild, and where you hear the theme song of one Bailey. Bailey has not been in front of a live crowd in that nature in probably 2 years, right? Because she was probably part of the in 2020, like February 2020, March 2020, right before the pandemic hit, and she was the pandemic era VIP with Sasha Banks, MVP, excuse me, with Sasha Banks, and she got taken out by injury right before Money in the Bank, right? Because it's supposed to be Bianca and Bailey at Money in the Bank pay per view. So she got taken out right before that and had not been back since. So she has not been in front of a live crowd, and they missed her. There was a huge pop for her. Bailey coming out looking like a whole effing meal, bro. Stop, Chino. Stop. What are you doing? Stop. I'm recording a podcast. Ignorant. He ignorant. What you doing back there? Anyway. Bailey looking like a whole goddamn meal, looking so delicious and scrumptious. A little bit of red hair in her now, coming out to the ramp, and she stops and she starts talking, and then here comes Dakota Kai's music. Dakota Kai was fired by WWE back on April 29th. This is probably the most. So she only was going 3 months. Definitely another situation where Triple H is running things, and this is basically like when Samoa Joe got fired and came back. Um, but man, when her music hit, I was legit shocked, and she came out and started standing next to Bailey. But wait, there's more. Here comes Io freaking Shirai, who we have not seen since NXT Stand and Deliver back in April. She comes out. Corey immediately says, even though the Titantron says Io Shirai, um, Corey instantly calls her Io Sky, which is, I mean, you could talk about name changes. There's still unforgivable ones like Walter the Gunther is still a weird one to me. Renaming Fabian Eichner to Giovanni Vinci, renaming Marcel Bartel to Ludwig Kaiser. Stuff like that. It still gets me to this day, but but this one wasn't. This wasn't the bad because it's still the same. She still has the same first name. They put a Y in between the I and the O, which is fine. And instead of Shirai, they put Sky. Okay, not a big deal. Because Kai and Sky sounds like a great tag team name. And it's just really, really simple. Kai and Sky. Cool. I'm with it. They have a stare down with Bianca. Becky comes in, and they stare each other down, and they just leave. But it makes you so excited for the women's division. That was the best moment of the show, hands down. I think Roman and Brock again had a great last man standing match. The fact that Brock brought a tractor and like rose the ring up, that was wild. Probably the craziest thing I've seen in wrestling in a very long time. Brock did it when he broke the ring all those years ago, and then he did it again with raising the ring up with a tractor trailer. But of course, Roman finally vanquishes Brock another time. How many times has he beaten Brock on pay-per-view? Is this four? Is he four times now on pay-per-view against him? SummerSlam, he beat him at Crown Jewel, he beat him at WrestleMania, and he beat him at SummerSlam. That's 3 times in literally the last like 8 months. 8 months? More like 10 months. So, ending their feud, that's it. Brock back in the line. Who's up next? Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre won his, Donnybrook match on SmackDown, which was really good. So now, the match we all thought was going to happen on this show is happening. Drew McIntyre challenging Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship in Cardiff, Wales, 1 p.m. Eastern Time for us, September 3rd, 2022, in the UK. This is a huge matchup. This is the WrestleMania quality matchup. This is the only, in my opinion, this was the only match that could have main evented the show. Theory did come out to try to cash in Money in the Bank, got his ass whooped by Brock Lesnar. I'm okay with that, but this is the biggest matchup you could make for the show. The UK crowd is going to go crazy for McIntyre. They are going to lose it, if he happens to win. Do you end the reign here? I don't know, because I think Drew is the guy. There's a few people who I think could be the one to stop Roman Reigns. Okay, Seth Rollins is on this list. Seth Rollins did not lose to Reigns at the Royal Rumble. He's like one of the only people to have a victory over Roman in the Tribal Chief era, on pay-per-view or premium live events. So there's one. Cody, I think Cody versus Roman was supposed to be the SummerSlam match, I believe, for a while. Then it changed to Orton, and then they put it to Brock. So, Rhodes is always going to be up there as the next champion, regardless of what happens. One day we will definitely see him as WWE champion, Universal champion, or undisputed champion. And then Drew. Drew is definitely the guy. Drew is the guy who held it down during the pandemic, having precedented times. Being a champion in front of nobody, winning your first WWE championship against Brock Lesnar in front of nobody was effing wild. That's why WrestleMania 37 came around. We all thought he was going to beat Lashley, and he didn't. He has not gotten his moment. He fought Corbin at WrestleMania 38. So he hasn't gotten back to this spot. This is the first time he's in a title picture in a very, very long time. His first time on SmackDown in the title picture as well. First time in the title picture since he lost to Lashley, right, in the Hell in a Cell match in June 2021. So it's been a very long time. Um, so this match again is the main event. It is the biggest match they can put on. It's your biggest stars, your two biggest male stars. The one again who carried it down during the pandemic versus the one who picked up the ball right as they went to the Thunderdome era and has not relinquished it yet. Roman is going to cross 2 years as Universal Champion. Um, it'll be what, August 31st, right? So he's definitely going to cross the 2 year mark. I really just wish they would make an announcement where it's only for one championship. That way you can hold on to the Universal title longer. Um, it also feels weird that if Roman loses, he's not champion. It feels just kind of this because he's been such a final boss for a long time. Um, it would just feel weird. It's also there's also the gumption of Theory coming out and being the biggest jackass and like cashing in during the match or after the match if McIntyre happens to win. There's a lot going on, but this show, Clash of Castles, is gonna be great. Obviously, you gotta have Gunther, you gotta have Sheamus, Gunther. Have them guys be in big roles. Um, Definitely Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley need to be in big roles. Anybody who represented NXT UK, I hope they have a UK title match on the show if that's possible. I would love to see Tyler Bate versus like Dolph Ziggler or like an attraction match or something like that. I really big into that. I'm really looking forward to Clash of Castle more than I'm looking forward to SummerSlam, and I think that's simply just based on the main event because that main event is going to slap, and it's going to be just either it's a coming out party for Drew McIntyre, who I think deserves it, who I think if he can win in front of this large crowd would be his WrestleMania moment, even though this will be his third World Championship. This will probably be the biggest moment of his career if he can film Reigns at Clash of the Castle. Looking forward to it. Should be a really really fun show. Monday Night Raw was just not tonight. This is the first yes, last week's Raw Triple H was running, but they're still using Vince's script. This is his first time on Raw, running it as a creative director, in full power. I think that this is his now show, his show. Becky came out, did a promo. Becky is a full face. She separated her shoulder. She'll be out from like at least probably 2 to 4 months. Cool. Gives Bianca the reins. She gets cheered. So in one night at SummerSlam, they turned Becky face and they turned Ronda heel, and that's just planting the seeds because of course the big WrestleMania match. If they're going to do Rock and Roman one night, you got to do. They're definitely doing Becky and Ronda another night. So they had a chance. They had a chance to do it this year actually, right? Because Becky was champion, but I think the Bianca story was more important to get her redemption there. So I'm glad they went along with that. But now all road leads ahead. Becky and Ronda. How do we get there? Is the question now. How do we get there? Does Ronda? It's also you have two women's championships. So what happens? Do you have Ronda go to Raw, and eventually is the one who beats Bianca, and then Becky somehow gets a chance, and then the SmackDown Women's Championship because that whole thing over there, that's about to change. That's going to change on probably Friday when Charlotte comes back. That's going to be a shocker. And I still think, I would like to see Raquel and Charlotte wrestle at WrestleMania this year for the championship. Next year for the championship, I hope Raquel wins the Rumble, and I think an NXT star winning the Rumbles this in 2023 are much more increased now because of Triple H being in charge. So, look, I'm all for that. I want that. So I want every little bit of that. But yeah, this Raw was good. They had two triple threats to determine the two triple threats, and then one singles match of the winners to who was going to face Bobby Lashley next for the U.S. title. And one, it was Miz, Mustafa Ali, and AJ Styles. AJ Styles won that by a crazy way. Mustafa Ali did a 450. Out the 450, picked him up for a Styles Clash. That was great. Another one featured Chad Gable, Dolph Ziggler, and Ciampa. Ciampa won that. Ciampa and AJ wrestled, and Ciampa is now the number one contender for the U.S. Title. Shocking nobody. He's going to win a championship next week. Like Triple H is a Ciampa guy. Ciampa's about to win the U.S. Championship. No, it doesn't make any sense for him not to. This is definitely the guy that Triple H is going to push. So, Ciampa U.S. Champion, it's coming. Hey, I'm for it. I'm a Ciampa guy. We don't have a name for the Bailey, EO, and Dakota group yet. Um, but they caused mayhem. They beat up Asuka and Alexa in a match. Then Io got her first match on Raw against Bianca in a great match. But the only thing is, all these matches ended in disqualification. So there's still some former trappings of the old guards there. The first hour was completely commercial free. There was a great Seth Rollins and Montez Ford match. The main event between the Usos and the Mysterios was good. Edge came back. I think this is a really round show. This is a really good. This is like probably the best big pay-per-view show, post pay-per-view show in a long time. I will say that, and I hope they can keep this up. It's going to be tough. They're doing weekly television every week. There will be slumps, but this was a really good first statement episode for Triple H. Also, another big story coming out today is that there are rumors that Sasha and Naomi have locked in a deal with Triple H and WWE to make a comeback. That makes a lot of sense because now we have a lot of tag teams forming. Of course, you have Kai and Sky on there. I think Asuka and Alexa will probably do a tag team. So Sasha and Naomi can kind of come back and fit right into that mold. Who knows what's going on with SmackDown with Charlotte? Charlotte can be coming back any time now. She'll probably be the one to interrupt Liv on SmackDown coming up. So there's that. But I'm really impressed by this weekend by WWE. I'm really looking forward to the future of the company, much more than I was a few weeks ago. So good on them. Good on them. Good on them. Real quick, I just want to talk about I'm playing another new game. Obviously, Live a Live came out last week. This week, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. The fourth game in the Xenoblade series, because of course there was Xenoblade 1, Xenoblade Chronicles, is it Xenoblade X? Chronicles X? Xenoblade Chronicles X for Wii U, which is a very strange game. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. X and 2, I'm not too much big fans of. I obviously played them as when they first came out, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was way too slow for me, and Xenoblade Chronicles X was too not a game, not a main story. When you have Xenoblade Chronicles 1, which is like a near masterpiece, probably one of the best role playing games of the 2010s, hands down. Definitely the best Wii RPG ever made. The 2 just did not do it for me. X didn't do it for me. But Xenoblade Chronicles 3 so far, I'm about 6-7 hours in of a 150-hour campaign. Ridiculous. It's flowing very well. It's much faster. I like the combat a lot. It's very important that combat in these kind of games keeps you engaged and keeps you coming back for more over again, which could be a 150-hour campaign. And again, they're still teaching you some things, but it's still fun to be able to have somebody draw the aggro of a monster. Then cause I play as Noah all the time. I'm actually just getting to the part where you can play as all 6 playable characters. And I like going behind a enemy, stab him in the back, cause a break to him, have I don't know the characters' names, but have him hit him with the topple, then have it dazed, and then I got my overwork buster up. Boom! It does more damage to dazed enemies. It's such a great gameplay loop over and over and over again, and I'm definitely already addicted to this game. I wish I was playing it now actually, but definitely I'm off, so I'm going to be playing a lot more. I'm gonna try to get like at least up to 15 hours by the end of this week. I'm going to try to get a lot of it in tomorrow though. Great game. It's only 8 hours in. Might be my game of the year. Again, this is me not beating Elden Ring, Horizon, Dying Light 2, anything Ghostwire Tokyo that really came out. Only game I beat was Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin. But I think my game of the year will be God of War when it comes out. But there's still so many games coming. We're now in August, so Saints Row is releasing at the end of this month. I cannot wait for Saints Row. I need to actually pre-order it. But I can't wait for Saints Row to play that. We still got Hogwarts Legacy whenever it comes out. We talked about it before on the games coming up in the podcast. Avatar got pushed back, so don't have to worry about that. Thank God. Callisto Protocol. There's a few RPGs. There's Valkyrie Elysium. There's Star Ocean. So I gotta get through a 150-hour campaign in a very short time. I don't think it's gonna happen, but we'll see. All right, we're going to do a short one this week because I was like 50 minutes last week, so I think 25 minutes will be good for y'all this week. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the FatmanStephens podcast, We're on all podcast channels. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Deezer, Overcast, anywhere you get your podcasts. It's FatmanStephens, all one word, and then space podcast. If we're on YouTube, if you're watching a YouTube video, hello, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and tell me what you think about SummerSlam. Tell me what you think about the Raw after SummerSlam and Triple H's direction for the company. Are you a fan of it? Or are you behind it? Because this could lead to a lot of bigger and better things in the future. Well, thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you again next week for another episode of the Fat Man Stephens podcast. Goodbye.